Yes, good afternoon to all. In the last class we are discussing with the third kingdom called as kingdom fungus, and we have seen some of the characters of kingdom fungus, and that is very familiar for you, mushrooms or fungus. And we are discussing with the thallus, the body of the fungus, that is not familiar for you. And fungus produce germinate by spore. Spores are the structures. Spore germinate into a branched, tubular, multicellular structure, and this structure is called what? That structure is called a hypha, and this hypha contains cytoplasm, and this is the body of fungus. And the hypha is containing, there are two types of hypha, septate hypha and aseptate hypha, and this contains numerous nuclei. And the hypha, there are two types of hypha, septate hypha and aseptate hypha. In the aseptate hypha, this is an example for aseptate hypha. A means without. A means without cross wall between two nuclei. Cross wall is absent. Cross wall means the wall between the two is called as, this is called a closed wall. So in septate hypha, this cross wall is present between the nucleus. Between the two nucleus, this cross wall is present. And just this is an example for aseptate hypha. So in the aseptate hypha, there is no cross wall between the two nuclei. There is no cell wall. There is no cross wall between the two nuclei. So this is called aseptate hypha, and with the cross wall is called septate hypha. And in the aseptate hypha, nucleus and cytoplasm can move freely inside. So inside there is no cross wall. So inside the hypha, cytoplasm and nucleus can move inside without any restriction. And the movement of cytoplasm inside the hypha help in the distribution, movement of materials. In the hypha or in the fungus, there is no systems like circulatory system or digestive system. So food material has to pass from one side of the hypha to other side. So there is no cross wall. So inside that, cytoplasm, jelly-like cytoplasm can move freely inside. So that help in the, what is the purpose of the movement? Because it help in the distribution of materials inside the hypha. So the this aseptate hypha, the cytoplasm contain numerous nuclei. That cytoplasm with the numerous nuclei is called cenocytic condition. See, cenocytic condition. Presence of numerous nucleus in common cytoplasm. This multinucleated condition. What is the meaning of multinucleated? Numerous nuclei, that is called multinucleated condition. Presence of numerous nuclei in common cytoplasm is called a cenocytic, cenocytic condition. Presence of numerous nucleus in nuclei, nucleus singular, nuclei plural. Presence of numerous nuclei in common cytoplasm is called a cenocytic condition. And there are two types of hypha, septate and aseptate hypha. Then see the type of reproduction in fungus. How fungus reproduce? Fungus reproduce by three methods. First of all, the common method is called vegetative reproduction. Simple method called vegetative reproduction. Second method called asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, because more than 30,000, 40,000 species of fungus is there. They are reproduced by various methods. So asexual reproduction, and third one is called sexual reproduction. So fungus reproduced by three methods. What are the methods? Vegetative method, asexual method and sexual method. Three types of reproduction in fungus. And asexual reproduction, vegetative reproduction is by very common method, very easy method. That method is called fragmentation. See, fragmentation, or another example is there called budding. Fragmentation or budding. You see that in fragmentation, fragment means piece. See, fragmentation, the hypha, break into pieces. Fragment means piece, cutting into pieces. That is called fragmentation. As you know, the garden plants like rose or sugar cane, etc. are multiplied by cutting into pieces. That is called fragmentation. So during the fragmentation, what happens? Hypha break into numerous small pieces, and each piece grow into a new hypha. That is called fragmentation, breaking into, cutting into pieces. Then budding. You know, in the yeast cell, yeast is a unicellular fungus that you studied in school syllabus. Yeast is a unicellular fungus. In yeast cell, budding occurs. Small bud is formed like that. Nucleus divided into move into one piece, then again divided like that. Like this, chain of cells are formed. This method is called budding. This is small bud is produced. In which example? In the yeast cell. Yeast is a unicellular fungus. They reproduce simply by formation of small bud-like structure. That formation of bud is called budding. In plants also there is a process called budding, grafting, etc. That is different. And this is called budding. So asexual reproduction, simple method. That method takes place by two methods. One by cutting into pieces called fragmentation, and bud forming in yeast, that is called budding. This is the normal example, very speedily multiply. Normally conditions when favorable, yeast or fungus multiply by fragmentation and budding method. Then second comes to asexual method. Asexual method, sexual method and asexual method. What is the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction? In the sexual reproduction, there is a formation of gamete, male gamete, female gamete, as you know. Male gamete, female gamete. They will join together and form a structure called zygote. And that type of reproduction is called sexual reproduction. Male gamete, female gamete join to form zygote. But in asexual reproduction, which is not formed, there is no formation of male and female gamete. So reproduction which does not involve the formation of male and female gamete, zygote, etc. are called asexual reproduction. And if there is formation of male and female gamete, such a reproduction is called sexual reproduction. The reproduction takes place by two methods, asexual and sexual method. See how the asexual reproduction takes place by two methods. One called sporangia. Spores in structure called sporangia. Spores are produced in a structure called sporangia. Some of the fungus reproduce by spore formation in some group of fungus. In some other group of fungus, it produces structures called conidia or structure called conidiophore. There are two methods in fungus. It reproduces essentially by two methods. What are they? Spore formation inside a structure called sporangia or conidia on conidiophore. See, this balloon, most of the fungus reproduced by sporangia, balloon-like structure called sporangia. Inside the sporangia, spores are formed. This is the fastest method of reproduction in fungus. This balloon-like structure is called what? Sporangia. Inside the sporangia, spores are produced. Spores are yellow, black or some other brown colors. And if you are keeping a coconut, cutting the coconut and keeping the coconut without covering for 2 days or 3 days, cotton-like structure will develop inside that, white cotton-like structure. That cotton-like structure is called a hypha, mycelium. After again 2-3 days, after that white color develop into black structure. With the touching with the hand, finger, dust-like structure will come on that. That is called spore. Spores are present everywhere in the atmosphere. So this is called spore. This balloon-like structure is called what? Sporangia. Inside that, spores are formed, which are minute microscopic structures with the yellow, brown or red color. Different colors are there present everywhere in the atmosphere. In some other fungus, structures are formed like that. These structures are called conidiophore, and on that small structures are formed called as conidia. And this balloon-like structure is called sporangia. If you have taken all the diagrams, sporangia, inside that spores are there. These minute structures are called spore. So, there are two types of asexual reproduction. Here, you remember that there is no gamete, there is no zygote, nothing is there. So, here, fungus reproduce by two methods. Spores are formed in cell structure, balloon-like structure called sporangia, and conidia are formed. These are called conidia. 1, 2, 3, like that. Chain of conidia. Conidia are formed on structures called conidiophore. So, this is the two types of reproduction, asexual method. Then, third type of method, when conditions become unfavorable, the fungus reproduced by sexual method. There is the formation of gamete zygote. And sexual method also takes place by two types of sexual reproduction takes place. In aquatic fungus, see, in aquatic fungus means what? Fungus living in water. Many fungus live in water. Fungus living in water are called aquatic fungus. Fungus living on land are called terrestrial fungus. See, aquatic fungus, terrestrial fungus. In aquatic fungus, gametes are formed. See, gametes are formed. Male gamete. Gametes are formed. This is called male gamete. You see, fungus living in water. So, gametes are with cilia for movement in water. Gametes contain cilia. Hair-like structure is called cilia for moving in water. See, this is female gamete. Gametes are formed with cilia. Aquatic fungus, remember that? Fungus living in water. Gametes are formed similar to plants and animals. Gametes are formed with cilia. They move in water. They will touch each other, join together like that. This will touch each other to form a structure called, as you know, the structure is called what? Zygote. See, in aquatic fungus, gametes are formed with cilia, male gamete, female gamete. They move in water, they will touch each other to form zygote. In which case, in aquatic fungus, fungus living in water, male, female gametes are formed with cilia. They move in water, they will touch each other, join and form the zygote. But in terrestrial fungus, fungus living on land, gametes are without formed. Gametes cannot move because there is no water. So what happens? In such case of fungus, conjugation takes place. In such fungus, the process is by conjugation. In terrestrial fungus, the sexual reproduction takes place by conjugation. And conjugation means two types of hypha, plus and minus hypha. See, there are two types of hypha. See, hypha, two types of hypha occur. See, two types of hypha. We can call this hypha as plus hypha, minus hypha. There is no male and female hypha. Plus hypha, minus hypha, two types of hypha. Plus and minus hypha. They will join together. See, plus hypha, minus hypha, join together. That process is called conjugation takes place. Conjugation means joining of plus and minus hypha takes place. That process is called conjugation. Joining of plus and minus hypha takes place. That is called conjugation. So, these are the different types of reproduction in fungus. Questions can be asked like that. Write the type of a question carrying 3 marks. What are the types of reproduction in fungus? So, fungus reproduced by 3 methods. 1, vegetative reproduction by fragmentation and budding. Asexual reproduction by spore formation and conidia formation. Sexual reproduction by joining of male and female gamete in aquatic fungus, and in terrestrial fungus joining of two types of hypha, positive and negative, plus and minus, that is called conjugation takes place. And I will explain the conjugation in detail. What do you mean by conjugation? How it takes place. Okay? I am explaining what is conjugation now. See, conjugation, during the conjugation, 2 terms are there for you. During the process of conjugation, 1 plus hypha, plus hypha, plus hypha. minus alpha touch each other. Plus alpha minus alpha touch each other. This is plus alpha. This is minus alpha. Instead of male and female, plus alpha minus alpha touch each other. And what happens? Plus alpha contain plus nucleus. Minus alpha contain minus nucleus. And one cell contain how many nucleus? One nucleus. This cell contain one nucleus. This cell contain one nucleus. All these contain one nucleus. See, a cell containing one haploid nucleus is called as monokaryon. See, monokaryon. One cell contain only one nucleus. That cell containing one haploid nucleus. I will explain what is haploid and diploid later on. Now I cannot explain that. What is that will be explained in detail. Now remember that one cell contains one nucleus. One cell containing one nucleus is called a monokaryon. Mono means one, karyon means nucleus. What happens is that this cytoplasm, this cell wall dissolve. At the point of touching, the cell wall dissolve. Cell wall dissolve. So what happens when the cell wall dissolve? The cytoplasm will mix together. Cytoplasm of this cell and cytoplasm of this cell will mix together. Mixing of cytoplasm or protoplasm is called plasmogamy. See? Plasmogamy. First of all, mixing of the protoplasm. Protoplasm is a jelly-like material. So protoplasm of two cells will mix together. Mixing of protoplasm is called plasmogamy. After that, so this cell contain how many nucleus? This cell contain how many nucleus? Now this cell contain two nuclei. This one cell contain two nuclei, one plus nucleus and one minus nucleus. This cell containing two haploid nuclei is called dikaryon. See, dikaryotic cell, dikaryon. Are you understand the difference between monokaryon and dikaryon? One cell containing one haploid nucleus is called monokaryon. This cell contains two haploid nuclei, one plus and one minus. The cell containing two haploid nuclei is called what? Dikaryon. Di means two, mono means single. Dikaryon, monokaryon. So how dikaryon is formed? The two cells will mix together. So getting a cell containing two haploid nuclei, one plus and one minus. Such a cell is called a dikaryon, dikaryotic cell. So cytoplasm, protoplasm will mix together. Mixing of protoplasm is called a plasmogamy. After some time, the two nuclei will mix together. So after some time, the plus and minus nuclei will mix, join together. After some time, the joining of nucleus is called as karyogamy. Mixing of protoplasm is called plasmogamy. Mixing of nucleus is called, joining of nucleus is called a karyogamy. So there are two processes during conjugation. First of all, mixing of the protoplasm takes place, that is called plasmogamy. Mixing of nucleus, joining of nucleus takes place, that is called a karyogamy. Like that process takes place. Conjugation, joining of plus and minus alpha is called conjugation. First of all, protoplasm mixed together, that is called plasmogamy. Then nucleus joined together, that is called a karyogamy. And after monokaryon and dikaryon. You can take down all these diagrams clearly. So these are this is related to. So differentiate between plasmogamy and karyogamy. Differentiate between dikaryon and monokaryon. So these are the type of reproduction fungus. So fungus reproduce by which methods? One by vegetative method. Two types, fragmentation and budding. Asexual reproduction, two methods. Spore formation, sporangia, conidia formation or conidiophore. Sexual reproduction by two methods. In aquatic fungus, male and female gametes will join together, resulting in zygote formation. In terrestrial fungus, plus and minus hypha join together. That process is called conjugation. During conjugation, protoplasm mix together. That is called plasmogamy. Then nucleus mix together. Nucleus join together is called karyogamy. Monokaryon and dikaryon. Terms are there in related to that. So it is very important. Reproduction in fungus is very, very important. See, then based on the type of hypha, type of reproduction, fungus are classified into 4 groups. See, fungus are classified into 4 groups, and I will give a chart to explain the diagram. Fungus, more than 30,000, 40,000 fungus is there. They classified into 4 groups. First called, I don't know whether you can follow this thing. Fungus are, they are showing different characters. More than 40,000 species of fungus is there. So they are grouped into 4 groups, 4 classes. First of all, Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. Mycetes means fungus. So fungus classified into 4 groups. Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. 4 groups of fungus. Based on what? Based on the type of hypha and based on the type of reproduction, fungus are grouped into 4 categories. Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes. Mycetes means fungus. Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes. And details are given. A chart is also given for notebook. And Phycomycetes is called as conjugation fungus. They are called as conjugation fungus. Ascomycetes is called sac fungus. And Basidiomycetes is called clump fungus. I will explain it on. And this is called fungus imperfect fungus. 4 groups are there. Phycomycetes conjugation fungus. They are usually called as they reproduce by conjugation. And sac fungus, because they produce a structure called ascus. They produce a structure called ascus. During the reproduction, they produce a structure called a sac-like structure called ascus. So called Ascomycetes. This is the structure produced during the reproduction similar to flowering plants. And this Basidiomycetes produces a structure called basidium. During the reproduction, they produce structure like this basidium. On that basidiospore, it's called as club-shaped structure. This structure is called basidium. This is called ascus. This structure is called basidium. So basidium producing fungus called Basidiomycetes. And here imperfect, no sexual reproduction. They will not reproduce sexually, no sexual reproduction. So called imperfect, not correct, imperfect fungus. So these are the groups of fungus called as Phyco, Asco, Basidio, Deuteromycetes. And the details are given. And the Phycomycetes examples, I cannot draw all the things in the blackboard. So examples are given. This is a very common example for practicals. Rhizopus. We call it as bread mold example. And for this Ascomycetes, typical example is penicillin. Producing antibiotic, yeast, etc. are examples. And Basidiomycetes, typical example is agaricus. We call it as mushroom, agaricus. And for this Deuteromycetes, various examples are there: Coleoptricum, alternaria, etc. So these are all examples. And here the hypha is aseptid hypha. Aseptid hypha, and here the hypha is septid hypha. and here the hypha is septate hypha. Here also is hypha is called septate hypha. And these are the type of hypha present in this group. And regarding the vegetative method, and here essential vegetative method is by fragmentation. Vegetative reproduction by fragmentation, and in other groups vegetative reproduction is absent. Here by fragmentation, and here there is no vegetative reproduction. And sexual reproduction, essential reproduction takes place by spore formation, and here conidia formation, and here there is no vegetative, no asexual reproduction. And in the fourth group called imperfect fungus, it is produced by conidia formation. Takes place by conidia formation. And here sexual reproduction takes place by conjugation or maybe by joining of two structures called male gamete join and form zygote in this organism. And here the reproduction by the process of conjugation takes place. Plus and minus hypha will join and form conidia, and from that like that. Here also joining of positive and negative hypha takes place by conjugation. Here no sexual reproduction. See, these are the things to be explained in detail, but in limited place I cannot draw the complete diagrams. So you can copy the diagram from the notebook. Chart is given, textbook you can refer. 4 groups of fungus is there, and this is not so important. Examples have to be important for that. And so these are the 4 groups of, I will revise once again. Phycomycetes called conjugation fungus, sac fungus, club fungus, fungi imperfect fungus. Example: Rhizopus, bread mold, growing on bread is called bread mold. Rhizopus is for practicals. And penicillin, antibiotic. Yeast, below Saccharomyces used in alcohol industry. Agaricus, mushroom, we are using food, mushroom. And these are all parasite, Polytroticum, etc. Septate hypha. Fragmentation, vegetative method, no vegetative method. Fragmentation, no vegetative method. Spore formation, sporangia, conidia, no asexual, conidia formation. Sexual by conjugation or by joining of male and female gamete. Here conjugation, no sexual reproduction. And this is the 4 groups of fungus, and this produce a fruiting body, Ascus. The fungus produces a fruiting body, and you know this is the Agaricus. This is the fruiting body. This structure is called fruiting body. This Agaricus, you know this structure. When the rain comes, this structure will come above the soil level. These kind of structures will come above the soil level. This like that. We call this mushroom. This comes under the Basidiomycetes. Different examples, I will show the photograph of these materials. And this is called fruiting body. Fruit like, we are eating that. This structure as a food. So this is called fruiting body, not fruit. Fruit like body, fruiting body. This is called basidiocarp. Scientifically, this mushroom is called, this structure is called, we call it the fruiting body, fruit like structure. Actually, the scientific name of this structure is called basidiocarp. Basidiocarp is the structure. So everything is given in the notebook. So this is the limitations are there to explain the structures in the blackboard, because the space is very limited, so I can explain only that much only. So read the things very carefully. I will give the notes later on. And see these are the 4 groups of fungus: Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. So by this we complete the explanation of kingdom fungus. So fungus is very important. So first of all, I explained the economic importance of fungus. What is the importance of fungus, and the reproduction in fungus, then type of hypha in fungus, 4 groups of fungus to explain. Okay, so Monera, Protista and fungi are over. Then comes to kingdom Plantae and Animalia. We can complete in the next class. Okay, thank you.